All right, let's talk about The Shining. Now, I know what you're thinking. You've seen the movie, you know the story, but today we are checking into Stephen King's original novel. And let me tell you, the horror on the page is something so much deeper, so much more personal, and honestly, way more tragic than you might remember. And this quote right here, it just nails it, doesn't it? This is our starting point. See, the evil of the Overlook Hotel isn't just about a few ghosts rattling chains. No. It's a darkness that soaked into the very ground it was built on, long before the Torrance family ever set foot inside. Because that's really where the true horror begins. It's not with a creepy hotel. It starts with a family that's already falling apart. They're isolated, they're on edge, they are absolutely desperate. You could say they are the perfect prey for a place like the Overlook. So let's meet our cast. On one side, you have Jack Torrance. Here's a guy who's trying to be a writer, but he's really just running from himself. He's a recovering alcoholic with a seriously violent temper. And then you have his son, little Danny, who's got this incredible secret gift, a psychic power that makes him almost too aware of the world around him and the worlds beyond. Wow. This gets right to the core of it. We're not just talking about a family having a rough patch. There's real trauma here. Jack, in a drunken rage, literally broke his own son's arm. And that sound, that sharp, snapping sound, that's the real ghost that follows this family to the hotel. It's a wound that has never, ever healed. So the plan is this. Jack takes a job as the winter caretaker for the Overlook Hotel, totally isolated up in the Colorado mountains. For him, this is it. This is his last shot to prove he can hold on a job, to finish his writing, and to maybe, just maybe, keep his family from completely imploding. They think the isolation is going to be a cure. They have no idea. And that brings us to the hotel itself. You have to understand, the Overlook isn't just a spooky old building. It's a character in this story, and it's a predator that knows exactly what its victims want to hear. This contrast is everything. The hotel basically dangles this perfect promise in front of them. A quiet winter to heal, a place for Jack to finally write his masterpiece, a clean slate. But the reality? Oh, the reality is a trap. It's total isolation, a history soaked in blood, and a spirit that is very, very hungry. And this place has quite the resume. The manager, Allman, gives them the tour, and it's just one grim story after another. Mob hits, a socialite suicide, and the big one, the story of Delbert Grady. He was the caretaker right before Jack, and he went stir-crazy and murdered his whole family. So yeah, the Overlook doesn't just have ghosts. It actively creates them. Now, here's the real problem for the Torrances. Their son, Danny, is basically a giant psychic antenna, and his presence is about to wake up every single dark thing hiding in that hotel. This is the absolute key to the whole story. The Shining. It's what the cook, Halloran, calls Danny's gift. He can see things that happened and things that are going to happen. And the Overlook, well, it's like a living thing, and it can feel that power. It's drawn to it. It wants it. And at first, it's small stuff, just feelings, flashes of things in the empty hallways. But as the winter closes in and the snow cuts them off from the rest of the world, the hotel's power gets stronger. And Danny's visions, they become constant, and they are absolutely terrifying. Then comes the first really iconic message. This word, red drum. His imaginary friend Tony keeps showing it to him. Danny has no idea what it means, but he can feel the terror behind it. It's a warning. But here's how smart the hotel is. It doesn't just throw ghosts at him. It uses their real-life problems. It flashes the word divorce at him. It's weaponizing his deepest, most human fear that his mom and dad are going to split up for good. And from there, it just gets worse. The visions escalate. He starts seeing flashes of the hotel's violent past, glimpses of suicide, of murder. The hotel isn't just showing him its history. It's showing him the playbook for what it wants to happen to his family. So all of this is building to a really critical point. Yes, the hotel is a catalyst, but the real monster of the story, well, that's something that was lurking inside Jack Torrance all along. You see, Jack doesn't just get possessed, he gets seduced. First, he finds this old scrapbook full of the hotel's dark history, and he gets completely obsessed. Then the ghostly bartender from the 20s shows up, starts pouring him drinks, feeding his ego, telling him he's right to be angry. And finally, the hotel twists his mind until he sees his own wife and son as the enemy, as people trying to sabotage him. And this right here, this quote from Jack's own mind, shows you exactly why he's the perfect target. The hotel taps right into his deepest insecurities, his fear of being a failure, his resentment. It whispers everything he's ever wanted to believe about himself, and he just soaks it all up.
So you've got the ghosts, you've got the madness, this obsession, and it all leads to one final tragic mistake, an act of neglect that is the perfect symbol for Jack's entire life.
Okay, so all through the book, we're reminded that Jack has one very important, very real job. Every single day, he has to go down to the basement and dump the pressure on the hotel's old, unstable boiler. It's this mundane chore that keeps him tethered to reality.
But in the end, when he's completely lost his mind, when he's hunting his own child through the hotel with a roque mallet, totally consumed by the hotel's evil and his own rage, he forgets. And that's the genius of the novel's ending. The Overlook isn't beaten by some hero, it's destroyed by the very man it corrupted. Jack's core problem, his addiction, his obsession, his neglect of his duties, is what causes the boiler to explode, taking him and the entire hotel down in flames. His ultimate failure becomes the hotel's undoing.
Which leaves us with this big, haunting question. Was the Overlook a genuinely evil place that took a good man and twisted him into a monster? Or was it just an empty stage that simply amplified the darkness that Jack Torrance was already carrying inside of him? And that's something to think about.